Good morning, students. Let us continue with the chapter of history, New Kings and Kingdoms. In the previous video, we learned about the Chola kings. Today, I am going to discuss more about the Chola temples and sculptures. The Cholas were patrons of art and architecture. They built magnificent temples. The kings and the rich donated generously to the construction and maintenance of temples. Rajaraja Chola built the famous Brihadeshwara temple at Tanjavur. It built in the Shikhara style. It has a pyramidal 13-story tower. The temple is devoted to Lord Shiva. And the Shikhara or the tower of the temple is made from a single 80-ton piece of granite. Temples were not only the place of worship, they were centers of social life and economic activities. They used to collect revenue and get free land grants. Festivals were celebrated in the temples. People met here to discuss social problems and solve issues. These temples were the center of cultural life. They acted as an audience hall and a place for other activities, such as ceremonial dances performed by the Devdasis. Students, Devdasis means female temple dancers dedicated to the service of God. The temple was a miniature city or palace with living rooms for priests. The temples usually enjoy revenue, free grants, and donations from wealthy merchants. Students, the given images you can see on page number 19 of your history textbook. The left side image is a 10th century bronze statue of Nataraja. Many stone and metal sculptures of the Chola period have been found. Metal statues were also sculpted during this period. The subject of these sculptures were mostly deities and devotees. The bronze idol of Nataraja is very famous, which is at the temple of Chidambaram. Right side image is a detailed statue of King Rajaraja Chola, which is in Brihadeshwara temple at Tanjavur. The Chola economy mainly depended on trade and agriculture. The Chola kingdom was prosperous and strong. The villages were self-sufficient in most aspects. The main source of revenue for the government was through agricultural yield, land tax, and trade tax. The tax depended on the quality of the land, and generally it was 1/6 of the produce. Taxes were also collected on mines, ports, forests, and houses. Agriculture got a big support because of the Kaveri River, which flowed through the Chola kingdom. As it had many tributaries, it deposited fertile soil along the coast. This fertile soil was good for the cultivation of rice. People cleared forest for agriculture. To control floods, embankments were built in the Kaveri Delta. Students, embankment means a wall or bank of earth or stone built to prevent a river flooding areas. Irrigation facilities like canals supported agriculture to supply water during dry season. And to store rainwater, many tanks and wells were constructed. Students, the given picture is of Sluice Gate. It is a 9th century sluice gate found in Tamil Nadu. You can also see the picture on page number 20. What does it mean? It is a sliding gate or other device for controlling the flow of water, especially one in a lock gate. It commonly controls water levels and flow rates in rivers and canals. The given picture is of Kalanai Dam, which is an ancient dam located at Tiruchirappalli district in the state of Tamil Nadu in India. It is built across the Kaveri river flowing from Tiruchirappalli district to Tanjavur district. This dam was built in the 2nd century by the Chola king Karikalan. It is one of the oldest dam in the world that is still in use, which is also known as the Grand Anicut. Students, now open the textbook page number 20. Activity 7 is given, that is carrying out duties. 5 questions answers you will write with the pencil in the textbook itself. Pause the video for a few minutes. I hope you must have written all the answers in the textbook. Let us read the question one by one. Who is the head of your school? Yes, the principal. It was a very simple question. Second, what are some of his or her main duties? So many duties the principal have to perform as the head of the school, like to take care of the safety of the students, to motivate students to do well in academics and co-curricular activities, and also to maintain discipline in the school. Question number 3. Who helps him or her in carrying out these duties? So, who are the people who always help the principal to carry all these duties? Yes, there are teachers, there are some other staff, students, and parents also may volunteer at times. Question number 4 is why can't he or she carry out all these activities by himself or herself? Why not alone? Why the principal needs the help of others to maintain all these duties? Because there are many students, the area of the school is vast, and there are many responsibilities also. Question number 5 is why is it easier for the class teacher to solve the day-to-day problems of her students than any other teacher? Yes, as compared to the subject teacher, a class teacher always feels easy to solve the problems of her students. Why? Because the class teacher meets the students every day and spends more time with them. So, what we have understood by this activity that if the duties are shared, it is easy to handle an organization like a school. In the same way, the kings were sharing the administrative responsibilities to take care of the people of the kingdom. with whom they shared with ministers and officials of the kingdoms. The Chola kings also developed an efficient system of administration. Let's discuss how it was. The Chola Empire was divided into provinces, and a governor was in charge of each province. Province means a principal administrative division of an empire. These provinces were called mandalams. The mandalams were usually headed by a member of the royal family. He took instructions from the king and reported to him. Then each mandalam was divided into a large number of valanadus, which was subdivided into nadus. And each nadu was further divided into urs or villages. The village was the smallest unit of administration. Larger towns were known as taniurs. For villages and cities, the Chola kingdom had a system of local government. Association of traders called nagarams. Sometimes it also looked after the administration of the towns. Was a common village assembly, while the Sabha consisted of learned men, the people who were intellectual. Their functions included maintenance of law and order, public services, revenue collection, temples, and education. They also help people in times of need. Rich peasants, or we can also say rich farmers of the Veldera caste, control the affairs of the Nadus. To give respect to rich landowners, the Chola kings gave important offices of the state to them. The Chola inscriptions given on stone walls of temples mention about Brahmadeya. What was Brahmadeya? It was land grants which were given to Brahmanas, and these land grants were looked after by an assembly or sabha of important Brahmana landholders. And the decisions were taken by these assemblies were recorded on the walls of the temples. Apart from Brahmadeya, other categories of the lands were also mentioned on Chola inscriptions. For example, Vellanvagai, Shalbhog, Tirunmattukani, and Palis Chandam. One of the Chola kings, Parantaka I, ruled the Chola kingdom for 48 years. And the inscriptions from the period of this Chola king, Parantaka I, inform us about the formation of Sabha and its functioning. Uttaramerur village was known as Chaturvedi Mangalam or Brahmadeya. This village was gifted to 1200 Vaishnav Brahmanas. Therefore, it was known as Chaturvedi Mangalam or Brahmadeya. These inscriptions gave us more information about the members of the Sabha. That these Sabha members should own land for the land revenue. They should own a house built on legal land. They should be above 35 years and below 70 years of age. They should have knowledge of the Vedas, and they should be honest, they should be skilled in administrative matters. These inscriptions also gave us information about committee members in the last 3 years. If these committee members had not submitted accounts or not reported about the happenings, if they had stolen the property of others, then these committee members and their relatives were not eligible to contest the elections for the Sabha. These inscriptions also tells us about the villages. Each village was divided into 30 wards, and from each ward one representative should send to the Sabha. And these people from each ward assembled and elected the members through pot tickets. What was the system pot tickets? That the names of eligible persons were written on palm leaves, and these palm leaves put into a pot. Therefore, the system for the election of the members known as pot tickets. And from this pot, a young boy would take out 30 names. From those 30 names, each name for one ward. And these 30 members of the Sabha were given different responsibilities. To look after the function of the Sabha, various committees were formed. For example, irrigation, gardens, and temples. These committees were formed for the functioning of the Sabha. The numbers of all these committees and ward members were different from village to village. Students, review the video repeatedly and also read the lesson at least 2 to 3 times to understand it better. Find out the objectives, answers, and write them in the textbook, filling the blanks true or false. Thank you.